Hello, it's the High Noon Hemp Show. We are going solo today due to more computer issues. I don't know what they are, I don't know what's going on, but it doesn't seem like the computer world wants to conspire nicely with the High Noon Hemp Show. I am Beach, my partner in crime, Joe, vigorously probably poking some keyboard right now on the other side of town. Probably won't make it today. I'm going to do the show solo. We are going to count this, I suppose, as an official. This is episode 12 of season 5. So we'll be starting season 6 next week. Hopefully we'll get everything all worked out and move forward from there. And so, welcome everyone to the High Noon Hemp Show. It is obviously noon on Wednesday, and we are here at the Hemptations Beach Facebook page. I suppose we won't be everywhere else because Joe connects all of that. But we'll get it straight. We'll get it straight one way or another. I know everybody's probably interested in the recent FDA statement, so I will be getting to that in the news part of the show. I did want to say a couple things of what I am hempful for, this being the Hemp's Giving episode of the High Noon Hemp Show, I would say. The second year that the Hemp's Giving episode has taken place. Obviously, because it's the day before Hemp's Giving, which we are closed. If you are curious, the stores will be closed on Hemp's Giving, but we will be open up on Green Friday and ready to go, and I'll talk about that in a minute too. One thing I'm very hempful for is how legal hemp is to farm these days, especially with Ohio going through. Obviously, my family, I don't want to forget them. And the hemp family and everyone that in the hemp community that's done everything that this we're not there yet, and we're still climbing up the mountain, obviously, with things that are going on, but we are doing our best, and everything's moving forward with industrial hemp the way I would have never dreamed even 5 years ago. So I'm very hempful for that, no doubt about it. Hemptations is still a family business. Honestly, we had a lot of the family still working here. I'm very hempful for the sale that's going on is, I don't know if it just glitched there or not. But anyway, our sales, so Green Friday, 20% off store-wide. That includes the website. And so there's a code at hemptations.com that I'll have out there that you can use on the website to get 20% off as well. And then we're going to do 30% off selected items as well on Green Friday, day after tomorrow. On Small Business Saturday, we're going to do 10% off both online and in the stores. And then on Cyber Monday, we actually are going to do 10% off online. So you'll be able to go and enjoy that for all of those holidays, celebrations of spending money, which, we embrace like anybody else, I suppose, at Hemptations. But the gift of hemp is a great gift, not just to the person, but to the planet and all those things. And so, you take that in mind, whatever you celebrate, and we're not excluding any one celebration than another, that's for sure. For whatever reason, try to figure out how you can incorporate hemp into the celebration. Not just to make it, once again, better for everyone, but for the planet and everything else that we try to do in hemp and the full range of hemp. And so, anyway, Um, we could do a product spotlight without. I wish I could have just held them up if I had them. I don't have them, and I'm sorry to say, well, we do have some new hemp koozies in, and so those are kind of cool for those that like the koozies. Um, and so anyway, get into the stores live to do that. I apologize that we don't have the graphics to shoot up this week. I know that most probably going to be more disappointed in the and what Joe says is the greatest segment of the show, which is the "What are you wearing?" You can kind of see, got my grassroots hat, a classic Menastash shirt. I got you can't see them, but my designer forever faded hemp jeans. And so, when you're shopping for the holidays, no matter who you shop for, see if you can find them a hemp version of whatever it is you want to buy them. I always say just Google whatever it is and put hemp in front of it. Go to Amazon, put hemp in front of it, and just see if you can find some hemp socks, hemp whatever. You might be surprised at what's out there, and available, and would make a great gift for the holidays. And so anyway, there's a half a "What are you wearing?" beach segment. I feel like I'm rushing through the episode, and I should be taking my time because it's not going to be as long because you guys don't get to see the visuals. But this is more apt for the podcast listener, because we do the podcast thing too. So you can go to iHeart and Google Plus, I believe, and Pod, and you can listen to the audio part of the show. Today's show may make the best podcast that we have, and so up to date, because no one's missing anything visually. It's just me here talking, breaking on the High Noon Hemp Show, finishing out season 5. So this is episode 12 of season 5, which is just thanks everybody for watching, being there throughout the year. We miss our best viewer, our follower, the greatest follower character. That's where I'll put the codes for the online shopping, which will be mostly one-day codes, but enjoy them. The second page has all the things that I talk about as far as events across the world that are related to hemp, so you can go there and check that out. There's a link to the shopping part and all that stuff. And so, I implore you to, I don't need to implore. You are welcome. You are welcome to enjoy the Hemptations.com website, or planeteverywhere.com, which is actually the retail site, even though you can get there from Hemptations. Thanks, everybody, for viewing. I'm going to take a drink now, and I don't have Joe. It's going to be awkward because I don't have Joe to talk over me. Thanks, everybody, again, for watching now or watching later, either on wherever it may be later. I don't know how this will work because Joe usually records the show. Happy Hempsgiving to you, Mary Jane. I am seeing the comments this week a little bit more, and so I can scroll through. My niece, my Earth Day niece, thanks for watching. Everybody out there, hey Kay, thanks for watching. This is the Hempsgiving episode of the High Noon Hemp Show. I'm running solo this week due to some more difficulties technology-wise. And so, welcome everybody. The FDA announcement was obviously a big, it wasn't a shock. This is why I was telling everyone to not pressure the FDA. I knew we were in trouble when everyone was saying we needed to pressure the FDA for regulations. Unfortunately, this is probably going to set us back. This may set us back. Um, again, this is an all-natural supplement. And when you read, and this is the quote, which I think is very interesting. It says the quote from the FDA is, "The FDA is concerned that people may mistakenly believe CBD can't hurt." It didn't say that it was harmful. It didn't say that it would hurt you. It just said what the FDA says, the Food and Drug Administration says, is that we may mistakenly believe that it can't hurt. And mistakenly believe that Coca-Cola can't hurt us, that at McDonald's can't hurt us. I mean, that's one of the most ridiculous things for the sake of safety is the average human consumes things on a daily basis that the FDA find that I believe can hurt us. And so, I did see and this is once again very interesting because they have FDA approved a CBD drug, interestingly enough, for kids. And so they're telling us or those people, the 64 million people that have tried CBD. 64 million people, they say. I just read an article about this. 64 million people have tried CBD. They've approved, the FDA has approved showed that it may harm the liver. Now, I'm pretty sure this study was done on mice, and so once again, they didn't prove it. Obviously, they didn't prove that it could harm the liver, or I don't believe the FDA would have approved the drug, because aren't they then saying that they they believe that this drug that they approved can't hurt the kids that are using it? And so basically, the big statement is they're not going to say that it's generally regarded as safe. Grass, if you want to pronounce it that way, ironically enough. But GRAS is the official statement from the FDA, something that's GRAS can then be added into food, this, that, and all the other. Of course, they're saying because there's no real medical studies, even though once again they've approved a drug for kids, but they're saying more or less that because there's not enough studies that we shouldn't use this product. We shouldn't use this all natural supplement extracted from a plant, unadulterated. If it's done as an extraction, it's still plant material. It's just in liquid form or extraction form. They don't mix chemicals with it to make it something else, to make it CBD. CBD is CBD, and when it's taken to its finest, minutest points, it's CBD. And again, it's from the plant. You can't get copyrights and trademarks on plants. And so, now I fear that I don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, we'll find out through studies that it is, in fact, generally safe for humans, or general something, whatever, however that goes. But it's going to be interesting to see how this kind of all plays out. And I've seen every headline on the planet from CBD will kill you, basically. That's how some of the media is interpreting the FDA statement, and so it's going to be interesting. It's not a dietary supplement, just so everybody knows. We don't refer to it as a dietary supplement. It's just a supplement. And so, and again, I implore everyone out there to do their own facts, do their own due diligence. Um, and we need to get results. We need to get facts. I'm not saying that's not true, but the fact of the matter is the FDA shouldn't have anything to do with regulating industrial hemp. Again, it should be regulated just like vitamin C. And what's interesting is I swear I saw in an article the same type of equation to vitamin C. Like they were saying, is CBD a supplement like vitamin C? And it is. It is. You extract vitamin C from citrus, you extract CBD from industrial hemp. It's no different. It's no different. I'd like to see medical results. I know there's people out there who've been using CBD for maybe let's line them up and study their livers and see. I can tell you this, if they're using it to get off of all the crap that the FDA approves for drugs, even if it does cause liver damage in any way, compare it to those drugs. Because there's an acceptable amount of liver damage that they know. All those drugs, our bodies aren't meant to digest most. This is an all-natural plant substance. We have receptors in our brain for cannabinoids. I don't know if we have receptors in our brain for synthetic pharmaceutical drugs. They do affect receptors in our brain, but they're not designed for pharmaceutical drugs, nor is our livers or kidneys or systems meant to digest that stuff on a regular basis. And I'm not saying it doesn't save lives, and I'm not saying, but fact of the matter is I want to know how much damage they know aspirin does to the liver, as opposed to just say willow bark, which is what aspirin is derived from, yet synthetically changed and altered a little bit. Anyway, so the FDA announcement is going to be interesting, as far as clarity and things. I think a lot of people are going to think, and again, this all came out with some labeling issues, and they warned once again, even if you put it in a food, say that it's good for something in that food. That's why you can't do it. I'm not saying you can't put it in a food necessarily, but you can't say CBD is in here and it gives you these benefits. Which of course, we can't give medical advice. I can only tell you the thousands of stories that we hear about people that use it, and it works. And every day there's 1,000 more on the internet saying That's, those places are coming around, and so it's good to know, especially because of this next news, which is the fact that we're running out of sand. And the planet, as they say, is made up. We have deserts of sand. Deserts of sand. You think, how can we be running out of sand? But apparently, we use a lot of sand. And it's true, and I knew this. It's not just the glass blowers these days that are sand. Obviously, it's the construction business. It's always been the construction business. Sand is a big part of the aggregate that goes into crete mix. And so that's why we've used a lot of it. And the fact that just because we have deserts of it, it's different sand, for one thing. They use one kind of sand, and they mine and ore sand, and you actually have problems is it's dredged from places, and now it's causing huge environmental destruction. Bridges are falling over. Land is being sucked into the rivers and the places where this is being extracted from in huge amounts. And so the reason that this is important to us in the hemp world is because hemp can be used as that aggregate. We can take the sand out of crete and put hempcrete again, and stop removing sand from the planet in places where we don't even think about that. But it's going on right now. They're just taking the sand as fast as they can out of wherever it's supposed to be for the planet to use, however the planet wants to use it, all in all. This is the biggest part, and the next biggest part of taking on the construction industry is because they have their ways and their means, and they are taking from the earth. If we have that substitute, which is hemp in this particular instance, then it's our duty as humans to do that. And so, obviously this is, how much news it makes in the world that we're kind of running out of sand. I don't know. But the fact that hemp can replace it makes me feel good, because we have a replacement. Instead of saying, well, what else are we going to use? We have no other alternatives to sand. We do have other alternatives. I've seen paper in the earth mixes. I've seen paper. I've seen fiber material. We're using fiber material, shredding it up, and using that as an aggregate. And so, I've been saying this for years when we talk about the construction part of it, is the fact that, even if it's pea gravel that they're taking from wherever the pea gravel is to use as an aggregate, we can stop using that and use industrial hemp. Now I've got proof from the planet, because the news has told me that we're running out of sand, and that's the planet saying, hey, it's about time you pay attention to the fact that that served a purpose, whatever, that you think the desert didn't serve. I feel like they should be trucking sand out of the deserts before they should be trucking it by where there's water as well. So, anyway, running out of sand, folks. Let's push hemp in the construction business to get that taken care of. Here's a construction company that's using hemp down in Kentucky, a company called Cat Strong. They're using hemp to repair bridges. And what they're doing is, instead of an epoxy, they're finding resins to produce entirely plant-based and biodegradable, flexible, lightweight, and in their reusable wraps. And of course, I've said for years, lignin, which is a big part of hemp and a big part of why hemp is so hard to break apart when it's fresh in the field, why it's so hard, is because it has a natural glue called lignin, and it's got a pretty good amount of it that it's in the plant material. And so using that lignin as a glue or an adhesive makes perfect sense. And so there isn't something as far as a byproduct that can't come 100% from the plant from the root to the top. Again, every part of that plant can be, and this is more proof of that, because again, and I think what these companies are doing, especially in Kentucky, is we're growing mostly for CBD. Now all of a sudden we've got this stalk overload issue, and even though people are making a lot of money in CBD, and I think a lot of that becomes waste because they don't think about it. That material is so vital to things like making sure we don't run out of sand on the planet, making things wood material, to plastic doors, and fiberglass type materials, or fiber itself, the clothing I'm wearing, any of that. So we don't have to chemical to plant it up, growing cotton or cut down trees, and all that can be replaced with the stalk, which is now again a byproduct of the industry. And so good for Cat Strong. And I just ran into, and I think I mentioned this on the show recently, I ran into some CBD growers. They were from Cincinnati, and because of Hemptations, they strive to do the best thing, and with their byproduct, not the CBD, the other byproduct that they have, they're actually making the rollout plastic to use on the crop for next year to protect it, and what that really works as is an herbicide. And so you roll down that, and again, biodegradable plastic made out of hemp, helping your hemp plants grow and keeping the weeds out is a great thing. It's a great thing. And for CBD, you definitely need that because the plants are spaced out. The closer you grow the plants, depending on whether you're growing for grain or fiber or for stalk size or whatnot, depends on how far you place it out, which then the closer they are together, normally they weed out because the plant kind of comes up pretty fast. But what a great of what would be waste to some, and of it is waste as far as the whole is to begin with. So there's some news for you. Don't have a whole lot of events to finish out the year. This one is kind of important in Ohio. So Ohioans, if you're interested in directing your comments to the Department of Agriculture face-to-face, December 18th at 9 a.m., the Ohio Department of Agriculture, the Broomfield Administration Building, they are going to be, I believe, taking comments, and you might have to register for that. So go to the Department of Agriculture's website and see if they have a way to register if you want to go make comments on the Ohio. The program that you want to see changed, you still have an opportunity to get that to them. I don't know the likelihood of changing much, but I think if they did hear from enough people in the industry, and this is really the industry people that we need to be having talk to the USDA at this point, um, telling them, if you're an experienced farmer, what would make it the easiest for you as an experienced farmer. But please, I implore you to go ahead and contact the USDA and let them know how you feel about it. I don't think they're going to change the percentage of THC, but once again, I think by asking for a higher percentage, if we really implore that we want a higher percentage, if the change doesn't happen now, it helps us with the change in the future, and kind of pushing where we want the industry to be. There's a good chance that, and of course I'm hearing the House won't pass it, but the federal government just passed the first round to take cannabis off the controlled substance list. So if they take cannabis off the controlled substance list, man, that would really, be huge for industrial hemp. You have to worry about how much THC is actually in the hemp you're growing to make a pair of jeans with, or any of those other products. So, I think that's even though once again industrial hemp is off the substance list. That's why I want to make clear too. Tell the USDA. This is the other thing to tell them, that the DEA should not be mentioned in the growing of industrial hemp. It's mentioned 42 times. Okay, and the guidelines to farming industrial hemp, which is off the controlled substance list. Okay, the DEA is 42. That's ridiculous, and I equate that to the fact is how many times is the ATF mentioned when you're growing tobacco? The guidelines to growing tobacco. How many times is the ATF mentioned? If once. How many times are they mentioned when it comes to growing barley or hops? I bet never. I doubt that any barley or hops grower has to register their plants with the DEA. Or I'm in all honesty, tell them to get the DEA out of it. Period. Just period. The DEA has nothing to do with it. We'll move on. I doubt anything. Once again, I'm not optimistic that they're really going to listen to anyone unless we hear from enough farmers, unless we hear from enough growers or businesses that are doing it, that know that this is going to harm them in all kinds of ways. The other real truth of it is once again they're just excluding anyone, the average person, from doing it. I mean, the average farmer doesn't want to deal with the DEA or even know that the DEA has anything to do with whatever they're growing, because then that makes them feel like they're a criminal, whether they are or not, and they're not. And farmers are not criminals, still. And so. That part is a little ridiculous. Again, does it surprise me? No. I wasn't actually expecting the DEA to be mentioned so many times in the USDA regulations. I really, blah. It's not good, but, again, it just makes it harder for the farmer when it shouldn't be hard. It should be as easy as growing corn. It should be as easy as growing soy in the state of Ohio, specifically, because those are the two biggest crops in the state of Ohio. And we have a lot of agriculture here. And again, Kentucky's done it right because they've really made it a little bit harder to grow than tobacco, but not that much. To us and locking us up and making us criminals for using a substance that is safer than the substances that they say are okay. And so again, we should get a credit. We shouldn't be taxed right out of the gate for 5% from the federal government for wanting to use the substance that they've been lying to us about a very long time to protect their drug war and their own budgets. Give us that money back. Take that DEA budget, whatever percentage of the DEA budget is gone to fighting cannabis, it's going to be gone. It'll be no more part of their budget. The DEA is concerned about that. Obviously, because they want to be in the industrial hemp business. And then give that money back to the people. Give that money back to the people. Anyway, that's a whole another issue for a whole nother day. We'll see how far that gets to begin with. But I know I've seen expungement part of the federal program, and so great for them. Anyone that has ever been arrested for selling cannabis or having cannabis on them, ever in the history of time, should be expunged, should disappear like it never happened, because it never should have happened. Let's see what else. We got December 19th. The Kentucky HIA Trade Show and Conference is happening down in Murray. couple things in January. January 23rd through the 26th, you've got Hemp Tech. I'm going to pronounce it wrong because it's like Hemp Tech Texture contractor training. So anyway, it's once again hemp construction training, contractor training in Ketchum, Idaho. January 28th through the 30th, you got the Texas Hemp Convention in Dallas, Texas. So that's a little bit of what's going on. As far as some events, and again, you can go to hemptations.com. The second page, I'll have those events on there with the information. If I have more information that you can get there, we're going to try to get this episode up on the old that other place, YouTube, as quickly as we can. And I thank everyone for watching today Beach's solo episode of the High Noon Hemp Show here at Hemptations Beach Facebook page. Remember, reduce, reuse, recycle. Make everything else out of hemp. Peace. Having Hemptations.